The Breakfast Club, directed by John Hughes, did not just capture the hearts of a generation. It became the ultimate teen movie, a cultural touchstone that still resonates 40 years later. But behind the iconic fist-in-the-air ending and those raw, emotional confessions, there's a treasure trove of secrets the cast and crew kept under wraps during filming. From wild method acting moments to improvised lines and off-screen bonds. So crank up your boombox, channel your inner Bender, and let's sneak into Shermer High for 25 cast secrets the audience totally missed. The first thing we should know is that John Hughes wrote the first draft of The Breakfast Club in just 48 hours during 4th of July weekend in 1982. Fueled by a ton of coffee and 80s music, he poured his ideas and teen emotions into the script. That fast and intense writing session created a movie that became a cultural classic and is still loved in 2025. Unlike most movies, The Breakfast Club was shot start to finish in sequence, a radical move that let the cast's emotions simmer and explode naturally. John Hughes insisted on this vibe, helping the actors live their characters' arcs as detention unfolded, forging real bonds that bled into every scene. The set buzzed with raw energy, making the film's heart-pounding progression totally authentic. Talking about the main cast, Nelson showed up to his audition as Bender, already in character, causing such a ruckus in the waiting room that the receptionist called security. He flipped off the guard before walking in to read. This attitude left John Hughes stunned, but sold on his raw, chaotic energy as the perfect Bender. The casting team still buzzed about his fearless stunt long after he nabbed the role. Judd Nelson, who did not just play bad boy John Bender, he lived it. Judd stayed in character off camera. He teased and provoked his co-stars, especially Molly Ringwald, nearly getting himself fired by a frustrated John Hughes. But the cast fought to keep him, convinced his fiery edge made the movie sizzle. There is so much more about Judd Nelson. The switchblade in Bender's hands wasn't a fake. It was an actual knife, carried for protection. His method acting stunt spooked the crew, who kept a nervous eye on him. But it amped up his rebel swagger, making every scene crackle with real danger. And Molly Ringwald was set to play Allison, the eccentric basket case. But she wasn't having it. She battled to be Claire, the princess, believing it fit her star power. And John Hughes agreed, giving us the unforgettable Claire we adore. That unforgettable David Bowie quote, "And these children that you spit on," wasn't in the script. Ali Sheedy casually suggested it, never imagining Hughes would turn it into the movie's electrifying opening anthem. Emilio Estevez was originally cast as Andrew, a hulking football star, but his lean build screamed underdog, not linebacker. Hughes pivoted fast, turning him into a wrestler to match his scrappy vibe, crafting a jock we couldn't resist. There's more to Emilio. He passed out at the cast's first meeting after having his wisdom teeth removed the day before. Talk about a rough start to detention. The cast dubbed him Snooze Clark, setting a messy but fun tone for their bond. Anthony Michael Hall nailed it as Brian, the brainy outcast, but off-screen, he was the cast softy. Ali Sheedy even nicknamed him Milk and Cookies for his sweet nature. And yep, he and Molly Ringwald had a brief romance after filming. Anthony Michael Hall's mom and sister stepped in as Brian's mom and sis in the opening scene, bringing legit family vibes to the nerd story. John Hughes cast him on a whim to ground the film in real warmth, and their cozy chemistry left the cast smiling, making the drive-by moment a heartfelt win. Still in the family, guess who played Brian's dad picking him up at the end? That's John Hughes himself, sneaking into his own movie for a cheeky cameo. The director donned a dad sweater and hopped into the scene on a whim, cracking up the cast with his low-key acting debut. Allison's iconic moment of making it snow on her drawing with her dandruff wasn't really dandruff. It was Parmesan cheese, a totally gnarly prop trick. Ali Sheedy leaned into the weirdness, sprinkling cheese like a pro while the crew gagged and laughed, crafting a quirky moment that became a fan-favorite gross-out gem. The set reeked of pizza, but Sheedy's oddball charm made it iconic. Another iconic Allison moment is that she stays mute for the first 33 minutes, a bold move that cranked her basket case mystique to 11. Sheedy worked closely with John Hughes to shape this quirky silence, drawing from her own high school isolation to make Allison's oddball vibes achingly real. Her hushed intensity had the cast and crew buzzing about her genius. Allison's switch from basket case to preppy princess sparked major 80s buzz. But Ally Sheedy wasn't stoked. She battled John Hughes to tone down the makeup, arguing it pushed a bogus stereotype that quirky girls need to conform to be pretty. Her fierce stand reshaped the scene, yet it still fuels debates about the film's vibe. To stay in character, Judd Nelson practiced with a high school football team during downtime, adding authenticity to Bender's rebellious physicality. He wandered onto a Chicago high school football field, all leather jacket and bad boy swagger. The players shot him wary looks as he joined their drills, but Nelson held his own, dodging tackles like a street brawler. Impressed, the coach tossed him a wristband, which Judd later wore under Bender's gloves on set, adding another layer to that rebellious, caged energy we see on screen. Bender's dirty joke in the air ducts about a blonde, a poodle, and a salami, it has no punchline. Hughes asked Nelson to improvise, but they never wrote an ending, leaving audiences hanging and smirking in suspense. Nelson's wild improv energy made the flub joke a quirky, unforgettable moment. Hughes insisted that the cast and crew eat lunch in the school cafeteria, fostering a sense of camaraderie that mirrored the characters' growing bonds. These lunch sessions turned into laugh-filled jam sessions, with Judd Nelson stirring the pot and Molly Ringwald playing peacemaker, mirroring the characters' epic group vibe. More on-screen bonding. The iconic scene where the group shares why they're in detention was improvised. Hughes encouraged the cast to draw from their own teenage experiences, making the confessions feel raw and real, turning the scene into an emotional, unscripted therapy session that made it feel painfully real on screen. The library weed scene was totally fake, just oregano, not the real stuff. John Hughes egged on Emilio Estevez to go wild, and his unscripted, over-the-top freakout, flailing and hollering like a rock star, sent the cast into hysterics. The crew struggled to keep cameras steady as giggles erupted, making this iconic moment a chaotic blast to film. The infamous shot of Claire's underwear during the desk scene, it wasn't Molly Ringwald. At just 17, she refused to expose herself for a gag. So Hughes brought in an adult double. Molly's mom was furious on set, accusing the crew of pulling another 16-candle-style cheap shot. Molly kept her composure, but later admitted the moment left her feeling trapped. The scene stayed in the film, a reminder that even off-screen, the princess had her own battles to fight. In a deleted restroom scene, Allison eats a soggy potato chip from the sink, leaving Claire gagging over germs. Ally Sheedy improvised the moment from a real high school dare, while Molly Ringwald nailed Claire's disgust. Ally's deadpan line, "tastes like freedom," sealed the Odd Couple vibe. Too weird for the final cut, it's now a hidden gem of pure Breakfast Club chaos. When filming wrapped, the Breakfast Club cast turned into sneaky souvenir hunters, each swiping a piece of the library's banister. Molly Ringwald keeps hers polished on her desk, a shiny reminder of Claire's fragile mask. Judd Nelson tossed his in a box, brushing it off as no big deal, though he still pulls it out at night when he's feeling nostalgic. Ally Sheedy carved her initials into hers, perfectly in character for Allison. Emilio Estevez gave it to his dad, Martin Sheen, who called it a slice of movie history. Anthony Michael Hall's piece now sits proudly in his office, a geeky trophy from their unforgettable detention. A longer Breakfast Club director's cut exists, packed with unseen scenes, but John Hughes' widow has kept it locked away. Ally Sheedy spilled the tea at the 2009 25th anniversary reunion, teasing extra moments like Claire and Allison's bathroom chat, and maybe even Allison's trippy dream sequence. Fans were left craving the raw, unfiltered Shermer High School footage we've never seen. John Hughes planned to revisit the Breakfast Club characters every decade, but tensions with the cast, especially Judd Nelson, scrapped the idea. We'll never know how these teens turned out. And just like that, the library clock ticks out. These misfits, Bender's swagger, Claire's poise, Allison's weirdness, Andrew's grit, Brian's heart, left their marks on that banister and our souls. Hughes' dream of sequels faded, but their Saturday detention lives forever. Raw and real, screaming one truth. We're all a little screwed up, and that's what makes us unforgettable. Don't you forget about them. Love this vibe? Hit that subscribe button and share this with your friends, and don't you forget about us.